Crossville News First presents Our Schools Being Put to the Test with special guest Cumberland County Superintendent of Schools Donald Andrews. Presented by Big Bold Pop Art by Chuck Jensen. Visit Chuck's Facebook page to see his gallery or to have a custom family portrait painted. By Hood Funeral Home, a name you'll remember, service you'll never forget. And by Computers Made Easy Seminar. Learn to master your computer in 4 easy classes. Call 200-6266 to reserve your seat. And now, our exclusive interview with Cumberland County Superintendent of Schools, Donald Andrews.
You just got through delivering a State of the Schools address at the last Board of Education meeting. That's something new for Cumberland County. We're not accustomed to having a State of the School address, but I think it's much needed. I think it's a pretty good idea, and it covers a lot of information in your State of School address.
I think in the past what we've done here has been more of an academic reports given to the board with response to academics and then special recognitions. I've always wanted to be able to give as much information to the public as you possibly can. And by doing a State of the Schools, and the reason for doing it in January is because then you have more of your student outcomes. You've got a true picture of the previous year, which in this case would be 2012, 2013. So we looked at all the data. We talked about some things in there about the transition, our priorities, our theme for the year, highlights of the previous school year, which could be anything from academics to special recognitions, like one of our students at one of our high schools, Logan Parsons, for an example, at Cumberland County High School this past year was the governor for Bowie State. And a lot of the public wouldn't know that. And so we share that information. We talk about our graduation rate. It's a variety of information that goes into that. Present it. We'll put it on the web page. We're sharing it with all the different groups that we are around. I brought you a copy today. Use it any way you wish. And as one lady said after the presentation I made today at our Superintendent Community Trustees was, this is great information because I'm forever being asked questions, real estate person, asked questions about our school system. And she said, I have so much information now that I can share. And I have to say, too, Mr. Perry, it's not all just the good things that go on in our system, because if our school systems are doing so well, how come our student outcomes are not where we really want them to be in certain situations? And our community expects us to be totally honest. And so that State of the School is what I call somewhat not being facetious or being disrespectful. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we share it. And so this was the first one, and we want to do this annually, and it will be a work in progress. So as this year goes on, if something else happens that might be of interest from last year, or someone submits some information that we left something out from last year, we'll put that up so that it's up there for the publics to see.
Donald, one of the hot topics around the county, between the County Commission and the Board of Education lately, has been the subject of SRO officers in all the schools. Where do we stand on that?
Well, first of all, the common denominator is that everyone is supportive of having school safety resource officers in our schools. Some want to do it through the school system, does the hiring and goes through the process of working with the school system. Some prefer that it be coming from the Sheriff's Department. The stance of the Board of Education and me as the superintendent is that this is something that needs to go through the law enforcement. And that's simply because they're the experts. They know exactly what we need, what needs to take place, and all that goes with it. The history behind that was we had, up until last year, we had SRO officers, of course, in both of our high schools and in one of our, in the city schools. But we didn't have them in the other 8 schools. So we agreed through the budgetary process that for this year, the school system would pick up 3 SRO officers, and the Sheriff's Department would furnish 1 financially for this school year, 13-14. And those 4 would be split between the 8 elementary schools. That would give all of our schools an SRO officer. And it has worked beautifully. It really has. The key there, we've got a memorandum of understanding. We just are in the process of looking at an interlocal agreement, which is a guideline from the state about the payment system. We have the money allotted. There's just there's disagreements on how to go about it, but it's not a disagreement about whether we need them or not. We all agree to that. And with that said, we're at the process now of having a meeting in the very near future between just a small group of us to come up with that interlocal agreement together with our legal counsel, and then look at what is going to be the long-range plan starting next year when we are not per se funding it. We may put it in the budget as a request, but then it becomes an issue of who pays for it. And like I said, we all agree we want to do it. So they're there. We feel good about it, but we want to be sure that we have one in every school and not just one in 4 schools that's being split. Because there again, like you said, it's unfortunate we have to have them, but we live in a society today where safety is priority one just in our society alone. And so that's the ultimate goal, is to have one full-time in every school.
In the last Board of Education meeting, there's a matter that was brought up between the city and the county school system concerning some monies owed to the school system, apparently from the liquor tax money, some $400,000 or something, I think it is.
400 and some plus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
What's the deal with that? What's going to happen there?
Well, what happened was back when this tax was instituted by the state of Tennessee, I think it's something like 50% stays in Nashville as the state, 50% goes to the local government, with 25% going to the school system, 25% being kept in the cities. And I think what happened overall, because there were a lot of systems this happened to, the city governments were thinking that that what they were getting was theirs, and that the money was flowing straight to the counties, to the school systems. That was not the case. Somewhere along the way it was discovered. I didn't know anything about it until just a couple of months ago. And so basically what we've done, we've sat down with our county mayor and county finance director and the city officials, city manager and city finance director, and then of course myself, and we've sat down to talk about what is owed. They have not said they're not going to pay it. The law is very clear on it being paid, but it was a case of they felt like they gave shared some information with us, some areas that they felt like that they had supported the school system in the past and hoped that would be given consideration. And of course, the Board of Education's feeling is we're right now in kind of a negotiating state of, presenting back, and the board feels that the money belongs to the school system because the school system obviously has no taxing authority, and that these monies are backlogged and should come with us. So we're trying to work through some reasonable agreement to figure out how we can get to where we need to be.
Log on next week for part 2 of Crossville News First presents Our Schools Being Put to the Test with special guest Cumberland County Superintendent of Schools Donald Andrews.